Okay, so we have started the webinar. We have attendees coming in. So we're going to give it like 1 minute and then we'll start once people have joined in.
What do we say? Good afternoon or good evening?
Good evening, 4 o'clock.
Kaspa, yes. Okay, so we have a bunch of people who have joined, and I think more will be joining soon. In the meantime, I'm going to begin and start with a little bit of intro of the panel and a little bit of discussion topic for today. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session today. The topic for today is transition from employee engagement to employee experience. I'm going to start with a quick introduction about our panelists. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order. So firstly, we have Paromita Roy. She is the head of total rewards at Tata Steel. Welcome, Paromita.
Thanks, Smriti. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Paromita. Secondly, we have Shweta, who is the head of employee engagement at Kotak Mahindra Bank. Welcome, Shweta.
Thank you, Smriti. Hello, everyone.
Thanks, Shweta. And thirdly, we have Tanushree Nair, who is the Vice President of HR at Entrust Global Group. Welcome, Tanushree.
Thank you so much, Smriti. And I'm really looking forward to this panel discussion. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Great. So very, very warm welcome to all of you panelists, attendees, and thank you so much for taking out your precious time, 1 hour out of your day in the middle of the weekday to attend this panel today. So like I said, the topic for today is transition from employee engagement to employee experience. Just to set some context, employee engagement and employee experience are two terms which are often confused to be the same, while in reality, they're very, very different. So engagement is the level of effort and participation employees put forth for whatever work they do. They are enthusiastic about the job they perform, they do their best, and they look for ways to improve and innovate. Even the most engaged employee might not have a positive employee experience. While you might think that employees are engaged in the work that they do, the employees are often looking for other jobs where they'll be more appreciated or might have a higher sense of pride in the company that employs them. Losing top talent can be devastating to the business and its bottom line. This is where creating a positive employee experience becomes important. It's a combination of multiple things, strategies, and a combined effort, not just from HR, but all leadership teams in the company. So let's decode employee experience today with the wonderful ladies on the panel who have, through their intensive years of experience and talent, led and built a wonderful culture in their organizations. Also, before we begin, I'd just like to inform the attendees that we have kept the chat open. So please do post your questions in the chat so that the panelists can answer them for you. We'll also be, pulling in a few polls in the middle of the panel. So please do respond onto those polls and share your responses there as well. All right, so let's begin. I'm going to go in alphabetical order, like I said. So starting with Paramita. So Paramita, why don't we start with learning a little bit about Tata Steel, the unique landscape you have in terms of both white and blue collar employees, and how did COVID affect employee engagement in your company?
So Tata Steel is 100 years old young company, as I love to call it. And as you mentioned, it's a huge company with a huge employee base, both in white collar as well as blue collar. And we are spread across India, not only India, but actually across the world. And we have a very diverse workforce. So we have employees at various age groups. We have expectant mothers, we have young mothers. So we have a very diverse work group group, and definitely when COVID hit, it was a difficult journey for us to ensure that we keep on engaging all talent pools and all the workforce in the similar manner, and we give the same kind of experience for them. So if I only talk about the COVID scene or the scenario, then at the time of COVID, the foremost thing that was on our mind was employee well-being, because that was the biggest concern, and to ensure that our employees feel protected and they feel that they are cared for, there were a few initiatives that we launched. For example, we had a 24/7 helpline which was called People Care, and it was not at all that you could call them only for work related queries, but if you had any personal issues, if you wanted to find out how your family member who is COVID positive is doing, and if you wanted some information, then that helpline was there for our employees. In addition to this, we ensured that we launch policies in a very agile manner after understanding the need of our employees. For example, we came up with special leaves for expectant mothers as well as young mothers, because the schools were closed and there were no one to take care of the children. Similarly, we had a roster system, and since it was we were the essential services and our plants were running, so it was very, very essential that we maintain the safety of our employees, and we came up with a roster system to ensure only a single group of employees operated at a particular time, and they were totally isolated from other groups. So that was something that we did. We came up with the family protection scheme. So if we lost some of our employees due to COVID, then we ensured that whatever the monthly gross of that employee was, that was paid to the family members till the notional 60 years of that deceased employee's age. So that was something we did. So that was more from a safety perspective, to ensure that, yes, so if when our employees were COVID positive, then we realized that they felt very isolated because they were in quarantine. They were not able to even interact with their own family members. So we came up with this care calls. The team members used to call our employees and had conversations with them so that they could feel that they were still part of the team. So that was something that we did for them. Counseling services were anyways on, and definitely those were used, and not only for our employees, that was open only also for the family members. So that is something that was used extensively during COVID. So I would say that for Tata Steel, the journey started from the employee happiness survey, which used to be conducted when I had joined Tata Steel. Then we moved to employee engagement, and now we are on the path to improve the employee experience. So it has been be able to do more employees going forward.
That's great, Paramita, and I especially love the care calls initiative. You know, where employees are actually getting calls who are COVID positive. You know, from their team members, how you doing? It just shows that extra mile which the company is going for employees who are not well. Moving on to Shweta. So Shweta, Kotak Bank is also defined under essential services, which means you simply cannot shut banks down during COVID. So how did your company approach the truly hybrid model when the coronavirus struck for employee engagement, and also considering the large number of employees, you know, distributed across so many nooks and corners of the country?
Yeah, sure. So Kotak is 36 years, going to be 36 years old soon. And, we've also had one of the biggest mergers in the banking industry about 5 years back. So the spread, the large network that we are across India, and the fact that we are essential services meant that employees had to continue to go to work and keep our branches open. And that was, typically the time when everybody was really skeptical about the entire thing, right? Nobody knew what COVID was, what it could do, how should we react, what are the safety protocols. So we were learning on the game. We could never shut down and, take away that responsibility of ensuring that our offices were still safe for employees to, interact with customers and things like that. And there was also the sense around the society, right, in terms of handling their transactions, which they were really regularly doing, and suddenly things changed for them as well. So a couple of things that we really had to do is we are a very regulated industry, a lot of rules and regulations because of being in the financial services space. And a couple of things that we never imagined would be, remote. We had to actually achieve like overnight almost, because a lot of our systems, a lot of what we do is very, very in a very protected kind of an environment. So giving access to employees in a remote and still having those controls, risk measures, etc., managed. It was a huge, huge pressure for both HR and the IT staff. I learned every day, and it was a very, very dynamic environment. But at the core of it all was one, to protect our employees and take care of their well-being, similar to what Tata did. We have a lot of initiatives around employee well-being and wellness. So we also had, calls. We had a lot of leadership connects with employees, because our leaders were sitting, had to work from home. We didn't want our leaders to be also exposed to the virus. So we would have rostering for leaders, rostering for employees as well. Even in our branch offices, there would be, people would get rostered every week. So this week, a new set of people, next week. So then the kind of communication initiatives that we had to really, get involved in and be able to connect with employees, I think the virtual setup actually helped us, because we were able to connect with so many more people directly from the leaders. It was almost like the horse's mouth to reaching the last leg of the channel in terms of communication. So that was one big effort that across the organization we achieved. And from a protection and employee safety perspective, a lot of initiatives like, we had doctors calling in, we had webinars that we had organized for employees where they could get, where we could create more awareness in terms of how they should take care of themselves, stay safe. We also had, things from an infrastructure perspective being put up overnight, because we had to take care of customer interactions that continue to happen and safety of our employees. So we had, things like, like a rope, literally a rope hanging around our branches initially to make sure your social distance was maintained. Till now, we have certain glass ceilings and counters around our employees. So that, and apart from that, where people turned COVID positive, we had a lot of volunteers across the organization to take care of hospitals and take care of medical facilities. We had doctors proactively calling anybody who tested positive, whether it was employee or their families, to actually reach out in terms of medication. So that was a 10-day kind of a 10-day call initiative, telecalling initiative from doctors, which was proactive. It wasn't that the employee was required to call, but the doctors would call very proactively. Apart that, now we've also had we lost a lot of employees, unfortunately, during the second wave. And that has been really, really sad, also from the people who have worked with them and things like that. So a couple of things around the pandemic benevolent fund. So taking care of employees who've died in service, and not just because of COVID, but also other reasons. So we've taken care of them for the next couple of years in terms of their children's, making sure the salaries got paid, continued to get paid for the next couple of years. Medical insurance continued to stay the way it was, and additional medical support as well. So we've also launched a recent scheme, which is the Kotak Shiksha Nidhi scheme, where we are supporting, this is not just for employees, also for general public, where they can apply for scholarships, and we support education for kids who have lost the primary breadwinner in the family. So a lot of initiatives, I think, and that's something that has also been appreciated by employees across Kotak. So a lot of things in gist.
No, that is crazy. That's a crazy amount of things. And especially if you've launched so many digital initiatives around, employees during this time. I'm sure, like we were discussing the other day, it added a lot of strain on IT, right? Because they have their
Yeah.
existing projects, they have to facilitate work from home now, and then they have to again launch new projects. So it's just like a
Yeah.
lot of work on the team and a lot of burden on the team at one time.
Hi, was it me alone or is something really happened?
Yeah, we're checking with Zoom. It's so weird. I didn't end it. It just ended on its own. But I think it's
Yeah.
joining people. Really sorry
Okay.
for that.
No problem. I thought you just
No
kicked me out.
problem.
No.
All of us had the same feeling.
I don't know what happened. Is it something to do with my network? I checked my network. I checked joining from the phone.
Wow, this has never happened on Zoom with us before. Anyhow, I think people are rejoining. Really sorry, everyone. I don't know what happened. None of us do. We'll talk to Zoom. But yeah, I think people will be rejoining.
I think it was overwhelming to hear Paramita and Shweta talk about the wonderful initiatives that they have taken in their organizations, and then Zoom also said, oh my God, I can't take it any more times.
Now it takes some time off.
All right, so let's continue.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, we're also recording this session. So if somebody couldn't join or if they had some issues, we'll be posting this on our social media, on our YouTube channels, and we'll be sending the recording to everyone on email as well.
Sure.
So yeah, so moving on to Tanushree, Entrust Global is interesting because it's spread across multiple countries, not just India itself. You have employees in US, Philippines, New Zealand, Denmark, and multiple places. So having a global workforce working from home is a different challenge in itself, especially for employee engagement. So how did you tackle the problem of employee engagement when suddenly the entire world had to just stop coming to office overnight?
Yeah, so Smriti, in fact, remote work has never been an issue outside of India because, most of our, colleagues in the US are working remote. Of course, we do have a set of people who come to office, but the majority is remote. So even, yes, Philippines, yes, they were, coming to office, and Denmark coming to office. But most of them they had this balance between the remote working and coming to office. But in India, we did not have remote working at all. Remote was an alien concept, in spite of the fact that we are an IT company, And when all of this suddenly happened, when the joke is there, with who is actually the who's responsible for innovation in IT? Is it the VP technology or COVID? Yes, it's definitely COVID, because my goodness, we all were on our toes. And I think hats off to the IT team, I think in most of the companies, who did a great job. And we were back to work as if nothing happened. All of us were at home and we had our systems. And yes, there were many of our employees who were working on desktops. Not everybody is given a laptop. And the way the HR team, the IT team went about doing things was awesome. So yeah, so we were back and running as far as business is concerned. But yes, engagement is obviously had taken its toll. Frankly, when people say employee engagement, it's always taken in as if it's, HR's kitty. And frankly, I don't feel so. I think it is an equal participation from the business that's required. And that is only when the employee gets truly engaged. Because what do you mean by employee engagement? It would definitely mean the employee's commitment, the emotional commitment that the employee has to the organization. Now, it can't just be HR. You're talking to HR. Yes, you obviously are, considering the culture, the processes, the practices, but it is your manager, it is your BU, it is your team you're going to be interacting with on a regular basis. So we frankly just went micro, if you really ask me. We started n number of initiatives, obviously the HR connects, which were quarterly done earlier, boiled down to monthly connects. Every team, every HR, employee, team member, irrespective of the person, whether he was taking care of talent acquisition or payroll, was engaged into, talking to people, understanding, how things are at your end. We developed business hour connects, where the BU leads were involved in asking questions. They were absolutely there, ready to take on questions and put at rest the apprehensions and the ambiguities in the minds of our employees. It was very, very important at that point in time for us to sustain status quo, not have a dip in productivity, and also continue, work in the same manner. So there were a lot of initiatives, like even if you're talking about engagement initiatives, we immediately got on to developing platform, an online platform called Combox, which is basically communication box, wherein we had all our employees putting up their COVID stories, their photographs, weekend stories. See, we're spread across the globe, and we got to keep everybody engaged, not happening in one country alone. So we did that. We had a humongous amount of engagement. We had people talking to each other, because this particular platform was made in the form of Facebook, where you could like, share, comment. So we could see a surge of engagement happening, people knowing about what's happening with each other. So that was one thing that we had introduced. We introduced lockdown stories, we introduced COVID stories, which also were put up on our website and our LinkedIn page. Of course, we realized that employee burnout was on a was on a rise. Organizations globally are striving, even today for that matter, to decode triggers on how you can introduce various employee benefit schemes, which would be maybe in one edge to the others. So we did that. Like Paramita and Shweta said, we also had we introduced Wellness for You as our flagship initiative. We tied up with Practo. We got into a lot of these on calls by the doctors, because obviously nobody was wanting to go out of your house to get into a hospital. So that really helped. It really triggered great appreciation. Of course, we also did our weekly webinars. They were I think Shweta also mentioned that they also had webinars. We had regular weekly webinars, 1 hour, and all the managers were told that you need to give that time off. That's their time off for them. And we had huge participation. There are various topics on what to eat right, ergonomics, how do you take care if you have COVID, if there's somebody else who's having COVID, of course, even on mental well-being and stuff like that. In fact, the wellness calls that I'm not sure, Shweta was the one I think you mentioned. We also had something like wellness calls, because when we got to know that there are certain employees who had COVID, we assigned one HR to that individual, and we had multiple connects over a week, so that they know that there's somebody, they're not alone. Because many a times the family is the only one who's taking care of them. They have a complete cutoff as far as the organization is concerned. They are unwell. Of course, many of our employees actually continued working during COVID because they were alone and alienated in their rooms. But that's when you don't have the extreme COVID symptoms. So yes, we did that. We also had our EAP, which is the employee assistance plan. We had that in place. We also did a lot of crowdfunding for our employees who were in need, and that was on a regular basis, which was rolled out and done, and the benefit was given to the concerned employee. If you really ask me, when you talk about business, we also actually started doing these leadership connects. Well, we called it Confluence, where all the leaders came in together, and there was a very inclusive way of approach that we kind of developed. Now, in organizations, when we have to release a policy or we have to release a process, mostly it's the leadership team who's in, who talks to each other, and then you roll it out. But we didn't do that. So we kind of so if you had to release a policy or a practice, we had managers, senior managers also come in. We took their inputs. We made it very inclusive, and then we rolled out the policies, which obviously had greater buy-in, and obviously it drilled down to their teams better because they knew the pulse of their team members better. So it was an overall inclusive approach. Wellness was obviously forefront, also to ensure that globally we are not feeling disconnected. So everything, all the initiatives that were launched were with global in nature. And yes, we did a fantastic job, because when we did our employee opinion survey in February this year, our happiness index had increased 28% from 2019, which was a big wow for all of us. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, having like a tangible percentage to identify that your happiness index has increased, I think that's proof enough that the initiatives that you've taken have actually worked. And
Yeah.
I always say that if you're doing something, you should always kind of combine it with facts and figures, because otherwise you don't know the effectiveness of that program itself. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tanushree. So moving on to Paromita, onto the topic of our day, employee experience. So Tata Steel has been a very employee-centric company, even pre-COVID. And according to you, can you share examples of how you have driven a better employee experience in Tata Steel itself?
Yeah, definitely. So, as you mentioned, Smriti, that Tata Steel has always been a very employee-centric company, and it is in our values that employee experience, employee well-being matters a lot to us. So, the movement from employee engagement to employee experience actually started way before COVID, in 2018 when we launched our HR Innovation Lab. So, I was talking about it. So, it was a very interesting concept wherein we thought that we will definitely go ahead and change the way things are done in Tata Steel. We will look at things from a new lens, and we will try to come up with policies which are very, very user friendly and user centric. So one of the lab was dedicated to improving the employee experience in Tata Steel. It was known as UX Lab, US User Experience Lab. And the major aim of that lab was to look at everything for the user at the center. So you put the user at the center, you understand the need of the user, and then you design policy. So we moved from a very centralized approach, because as I mentioned, we are 100 years old company. So we were very bound to our policies, and we did have a lot of offerings. We did have everything, but then definitely it was a very centralized approach. So from that approach, we moved towards a very customized and personal approach. So a few examples that I would like to quote, which I really am very happy about, are one campaign which was called Zaruri Hai Kya. So it was actually a bureaucracy buster campaign, because there were a lot of things, transactional things that were continuing, because that has continued for so many years. So we opened the forum for our employees to give us feedback and to send us things which are Zaruri Hai Kya. Do we need to do these things anymore? We got a lot of feedback, and from those feedback we could move from leaves being approved by the managers to auto approved leaves. We moved to an absolutely default attendance system. I'm sure, Tanushree, this will not be a new thing for you, but definitely for Tata Steel to move from a 9 to 6 kind of attendance system to a default attendance system was a huge change for us. Then we picked up moments that matter to our employees. So we have a campaign called Moments That Matter, and we realized that when we put the user at the center, then we need to celebrate those moments, the important moments that our employees have along with them. So we picked up very few simple things like birthdays, anniversaries, promotions, etc. And we are trying to make those things very, very special from an organization perspective too. So that is something that we are doing. We have introduced Parenthood Bundle, wherein we are trying to celebrate the overall parenthood journey along with our employees. We launched, thanks to COVID, we did have a work from home policy for our employees, but the acceptance level was very, very low. We have a huge manufacturing setup. And as Tanushree mentioned, that pre-COVID in India, working from home was like you are working for home. You are actually on chutti and you're not working from home, but for home. That is what our employees used to quote. But this COVID definitely has busted this myth, and we could move from flexi work from home, which was a couple of days where you can work from home, to an absolute work from home, wherein an employee of Tata Steel can now work from anywhere across India. So that was a big change for us. We have come up with a lot of digitization because we realize that people have various options on their fingertips now. So that's how they want things, and they want very, very customized and personalized things. I don't want to go through a whole policy to know what is applicable for me. So definitely I need everything at one place. And because of this, what we did was we consolidated all our offerings and we came up with a super app kind of thing, which is known as Steel Hive, because we attach steel to every of our all of our offerings. So it's called Steel Hive, and all the benefits, tangible, relational, non-tangible benefits that you are eligible for, you can go ahead and look at that app and you will get the details. So that was a huge hit for our employees. In addition to this, Tata Steel has always worked on being an inclusive company. So there were a lot of policies that were launched to improve to be more inclusive toward our employees. For example, we launched all the benefits that are applicable for our other employees, like honeymoon packages, menstrual leave, etc. We launched it for our LGBTQ plus population too. So that is something, because we realized it's the user. If there is a need, we need to provide that facility to the employee. So this has been the employee experience journey till now. And we also have a couple of initiatives which we are looking forward to.
Thanks for sharing that, Paramita. And I absolutely love that Zaruri Hai Kya thing. I've been thinking, I think it's applicable for everyone. There's so many policies which are just redundant over time, and you're like, why are they there anymore? You should just get rid of them. Yeah. So, Shweta, Kotak was also certified as a great place to work last year. What would be your suggestions towards building like a great employee experience, and how has Kotak approached it as a company?
So for us also, it's been a journey. It's been a very similar journey to what probably Paramita mentioned, because a lot of things were, hybrid approach where manual, a lot of stuff was still manual, and then there were some things which were happening online. So we've really, COVID has actually helped us to move almost 6 times in that journey. What would have taken us a couple of years, we've been able to achieve, in just 1 year. So couple of things is, when we look at employee experience, a lot of focus as an organization, we were already giving around customer experience and how, what kind of an organization or a bank we should be for our customers. From, we stopped almost internally, we would stop calling ourselves a bank, but more as an IT organization, which would deliver the banking services to customers. So, the number of people who are actually stepping into branches is probably reduced big time. A lot of things happen online. So a lot of innovation has happened on our customer front. And therefore, employee experience became paramount. We were almost like forced to make changes here, because we were getting questioned around from our own employees saying that, if there's so much that we are doing for a customer, then why are we having legacy systems and processes, etc. internally? So that actually, gave us a lot of ideas and of course a lot of feedback from employees. So one big example that I would like to talk about is we've also launched an employee mobile app. So earlier we had about maybe 27 odd different applications which were integrated into a web platform and which employees had to access for any of their transactions, etc. So now what we've done is we've given it all to them on their handset. So on their mobile phones, it's called the Kotak Work Life. So it's like, the work and your life is almost like synchronized. So there's no real demarcation in between work and life, right? So that's why we've called it Kotak Work Life. And we said you should be able to do all your transactions the way you would as a customer. You should be able to do as an employee as well on your mobile. So right from interacting, being able to get answers to queries, being able to apply for leave, mark attendance based on geo tagging, being able to have a chat to answer your queries. So I don't need to necessarily go through policy documents or, ask a question and get a response. I just use a chatbot and get answers to my queries instantaneously. And I also have the flexibility to interact with employees across the organization. Earlier, email was the only medium to do that, but now I can chat, I can instantly message. As a leader, I can message to an entire work group, which is 60,000 employees. So if the CEO wants to talk about his thought for the day, right? It's earlier we would use Twitter or tweet to talk, but that's not constricted or restricted to the organization. So this app actually helps us to send out those messages to all employees, and they get to hear directly from the leaders. So this has been like a big digital transformation journey that from an employee experience perspective. And like I said, it's been a continuous effort. So we look at multiple touch points that an employee has, right from the time he joins the organization, or even when he's interacting with us as a candidate, to the time that he even offboards. We want even every single experience to be a great experience, right? That he remembers and associates with Kotak. And that's what will take us to be consistently there on the Great Place to Work certification. So that's a certification that we have to earn every year. We can't be happy that we did receive it last year. So that's one big journey. And from a remote working perspective, that's something we never had as a policy. So that's now we are looking at it from a long-term perspective and not just for the period of COVID. But so we have defined roles that will continue to be remote working and will have access to, some roles have been defined as partially coming to office, some roles which need to come daily are daily coming to work, and some roles which are permanently work from home. And towards ensuring that their engagement is great, we've also introduced a lot of things for this hybrid kind of a population, where we have like a hot desking app where people, when they want to come to office, can book a desk at the office. So these are some things that we would have probably not imagined, a couple of years back. So this journey has been a great transition for us. And recognition, of course, is the center of it. And we've done a lot of work around recognition also. So I'd probably stop here and then talk about it maybe sometime later.
Great. And that actually is my next question. So I'll come to that. But, you touched upon a very important point here, is that companies mostly think of enhancing customer experience, but then employee experience usually takes a backseat. And hence the challenge is to ensure that, your employee experience is also unique. And because they're the ones at the end of the day who are providing that customer experience too. So moving on to Tanushree, Entrust Global also has won Best Places to Work for Women in 2021 by Economic Times this year. So would love to hear your thoughts about building a positive employee experience, and what are the multiple touch points for an employee's life cycle, which Entrust Global has overall taken care of?
Sure, Smriti. In fact, when you talk about employee experience, I feel that it is nothing but an employee's perception about his journey throughout the organization, starting from the candidate experience that he or she might have had at the time of joining, till the time he or she decides to quit or part ways with us. So for us, when we talk about employee experience, we had actually dissected it into all these three aspects. One, of course, is at the time of joining. Second, of course, is when the person is in the organization, and third is what is the kind of experience we need to give him or her when he's actually deciding to move on. Candidate experience, we have done a lot. In fact, see, we are an IT company, and I'm sure anybody who's here in IT knows that the industry is disrupted to the core at this point in time. Everybody is job shopping, and it is howsoever great your organization be, whatever brand you are, whatever projects that you could give to employees, to really do well, doesn't matter. I have, a 9 lakh offer, I have a 12 lakh offer, and a 15 lakh offer. Tell me if you're going to get me more than 15, I'm ready to join the company. Okay. So we are faced with huge disruption. So what do we do as candidate experience? What do we do that gives us an edge, which other organizations are not doing? Frankly, there is nothing. If you really ask me, everybody's doing everything. Okay. But yes, we decided to have our connect calls, with the candidates. So what we do is we now do it once in 15 days, and we get all the candidates who have not yet joined us. We get them together over a coffee. Of course, it's an online coffee at this point in time. And we have our CTO and me, both of us addressing them. And we tell them about the projects that we have. We tell them about the life at Entrust. And of course, we try and engage with them as much as possible. We also, in between, during if there's a notice period, for 30 days or something, we also send them the inputs, about what's happening in Entrust, which kind of helps them understand that this is the place you really want to be. So there are multiple touch points that we have developed as far as candidate experience is concerned. Now we've also done a huge, revamping of our onboarding process, and the entire onboarding is online, and we ensure that the systems reach the concerned new joiner on the day of his joining, the appointment letters, everything, whatever that he could think of, including a very beautiful joining kit. I'm sure this is nothing exclusive that we are doing. I'm sure Kotak is doing that, and Tata is definitely doing it. But it's just that, that wow factor of joining an organization is definitely there. And then, of course, we have a Begin. Begin is the name of our induction program, and Begin is where we have these 30 days, 60 days stay interviews. We try and figure out if the person is seamlessly settled in. So the touch points are on a regular basis. The buddy program, all of that is there, for an individual to feel completely settled in the initial few months of the person joining. We have now also developed, we started doing these global open houses now, wherein our CEO and a lot of other BU leads are open to be asked questions to. So so we try to kind of increase transparency within the organization, okay? Because when you are working remote, you don't know what's happening in the organization, okay? You're continuously dealing with your set of team members or the stakeholders that you normally deal with. How do you know what's happening in the organization? So we have these global open houses very regularly, in fact, once a quarter for sure. And also BU open houses, which are like separate. And everything that's happening with the BU is shared. Everything happening in the organization is shared. The CEO is right there in front of you, and the leadership team is there. We encourage people to ask questions, totally up to you whether you want to go incognito or you want to reveal your name. We see great participation in it now, because there are a lot of questions people have. And we thought that they might go incognito when they're asking these questions, but I'm really proud to say that the team members have actually revealed their names, and they asked questions, and it kind of helps everybody understand what's happening in the organization, so you don't feel cut out. Okay. In fact, when I said the happiness index had increased, last year we did so fantastically well that the profits were shared with everyone in the organization. So $200 worth of bonus was given to every employee at Entrust, irrespective of the location that you are in. Also, we have increased our stay interviews. There are extreme amount of HR connects, the stay interviews. We try and figure out, what exactly is bothering. Especially, there are people who stay remote, who actually moved out of Delhi NCR also and gone back to their hometowns to work from home. And they have been people telling us that they are feeling very cut off. They feel a little disconnected with the company. And that is a trigger for HR, to really work on. And so we do a lot of connects there. We try and connect them with a different set of people. So there are interdepartmental connects now happening, so that, if Smriti, you are in HR and I'm in finance, and we don't have to deal every day, but I'll still have an occasion to meet you and understand, hey, how things are going on with you and stuff like that. So all those things that we have obviously done. Again, I said inclusive approach to building processes and policies. So now we have a very big buy-in on whatever that we propose to bring into the organization. Our reward and recognition program is getting revamped. There was one already, but it's getting revamped considerably. We're going to go online with that very soon. Testimony to everything that we've done well will be, of course, the happiness index going up. Also, are winning the award of best places to work for women. There are lots of aspects that have been taken care for feeding moms, young mothers, also to increase diversity. There has been some processes that we put in place wherein at least 4 out of you know, 10, you know, candidates that you meet for every position that have to be women, because we don't have, the diversity ratio was bad, and it's definitely increasing now. So yes, such pointers, a lot of aspects on what are you doing currently, you know, and how can we better it? Even for that matter, you know, investing in people is one of our core values, and we have done. So we've launched a program called Agile, which is education with agility, and we've tied up with LinkedIn Learning. And for every BU, you know, we kind of really sat down and understood what are the various aspects that, you know, the team would require to upskill themselves better. And the BU heads have been really great. They've helped us identify. We have actually gone ahead and launched it for all our employees, and it's free for them. They can do as many certifications, as many learnings. And of course, we also are now at the end of the month, do a little bit of connect to understand, hey, what did you learn? You know, what have you gained, you know, out of it? So yes, a lot of investing in employees goes on like that. Yes.
Yeah, and you touched on a very good point there that, you know, you have to eventually invest in your employees. I mean, like you invest in your business, you invest in your customers, you have to invest in them as well. And I think overall, you know, recognizing them, appreciating them on a task well done is another way of going around that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Done globally.
Globally, yeah. So that brings me to my next and last question of the day. I'll start with Paramita again around recognition. So with Tata Steel, recognition has a very interesting twist here, because you also have officers and non-officers, and for a lot of HRs, especially who have like a blue collar population, are completely clueless as to what to do for them, while white collar is like fairly standard and a lot of people know a lot of things. But for the blue or gray collar population, it's a little challenging. So I'd love to hear your take on how you have approached that challenge and how you have solved it.
Yeah, so yes, we have a huge blue collar employee base, but here I would like to share my viewpoint, Smriti, that when we talk about recognition, we are talking about recognizing a human being, and basically the need for recognizing or need for recognition of someone's work is similar. And it's same all across the talent pool. So it doesn't actually matter whether the employee is a blue collar employee or white collar employee. Actually, the need is to recognize the employee, celebrate the effort that the person has put in, and make sure that the person is recognized for the work that has been done. So recognition, if it is used properly, can be a huge driver towards engagement and improving employee experience. And as I mentioned, the need is similar. For example, if I want to go ahead and for a white collar employee, if I want to go ahead and launch a campaign and then show a leadership board, then the similar concept, when we use that concept for our dumper operators in our mining locations, a simple leadership board helped us save crores of money in our diesel cost. So we realized that the basic principles are similar. Yes, the way we are going ahead and dealing with things may have been different in the past, but what we are focusing right now is to ensure that the basic principles of our recognition program, whether be it for our white collar employee or blue collar employee, should be same. So we have a dedicated blue collar recognition program called Shabash. It is also on a digital platform, but we are going ahead and ensuring that they also have the similar kind of experience that we give to our white collar employees. So as Tanushree mentioned, we have a Facebook kind of thing, a digital portal wherein people can recognize other employees. They can comment, they can like the recognition of their friends and co-workers. And similarly, we are trying to provide the same portal for our blue collar employees also, because everybody nowadays has a smartphone and it is very easily accessible through smartphones. It's just a app. So definitely that is something we are going ahead and trying to do. So basically the principles remain the same. And what we need to make sure is that we celebrate the effort that the employee puts in. So for to do that, what we also try to, when the COVID had hit us and we were struggling to find out ways of recognizing people and how do we go ahead, because definitely we also followed the quarterly town halls or the monthly meetings and giving out, or the recognition boards that we used to have in every department. But then we realized that's not possible anymore. So we came up with different initiatives like recognition pause. So in every team meeting, there used to be a recognition pause where a team member used to recognize the other team member, or if somebody has done anything good, then the person used to recognize the other person. So that really worked for us. The other thing was we collected inputs through recognition stories. So what we did was that we asked employees to share their recognition stories and what had touched their heart. So when we got those inputs, we realized that these are things people really value. And one of the things that they really value is instant recognition. Now, if I do something and you recognize me after a quarter, it doesn't make that much sense. So yes, that is why we are planning to launch as many instant awards, instant recognition as possible. We move from physical cards to e-cards, and we are doing the same for our blue collar employees also. For a blue collar employees, we used to have this coupon system wherein we used to give coupons to them, which were physical coupons. So we are also trying to move them to points like we did to do for our white collar employees. So I'll just reiterate the same point, that the basic principles are same. It's a human need to get recognized, and if we follow the basic principles, definitely we'll get it right.
No, you're absolutely right there. And what I like is that, you're also creating an environment in which you're not differentiating between both, blue, gray, white colors, and you're kind of creating like a uniform policy, which is also a very nice thing to do. And it makes employees feel better as well. Moving on to Shweta, overall, in your case, like recognition is also unique because of multiple business units having their own programs, and then there are some common programs. So how do you handle that as an organization, and how have you approached that problem?
Yeah, so of course, digital to the rescue, because before that we would have very standalone kind of recognition programs for every business that they would run, because having a org-wide recognition program for 60,000 plus is physically, very, very challenging and almost impossible. So what we've done with our digital journey is we've launched our reward recognition program called K Applaud, which is also integrated to our Work Life app. So that helps us to actually have programs which are common and spread across the organization. So this is where the inclusivity comes, right? As one brand, one Kotak. And so that kind of is available to employees across the organization, whether it is like Paromita also mentioned, the instantaneity of the recognition is very, very critical and important from an employee's perspective. So that is what they need. I don't need to be recognized 3 days later or 4 days later, and that's what would happen in a pre-digital environment, right? Because the cards, by the time they reach you, or by the time you set a reward recognition program and hand over a certificate, it's already, the novelty of it is already lost. Sometimes people forget, why did I, for what did I get recognized? Because there's so many other things that have happened in between. So this we've been able to solve with a digital platform where we have things around the Kotak DNA. So for us, behaviors and recognizing people for their behaviors and outcomes is as important as what we would do from a performance or achievement perspective. So how do people live the Kotak DNA? So we've launched recognition programs around that, which is common. And then you have things like the Cheers for Peers, where we encourage recognition for peers. So these are simple cards, saying thank you, job well done, and they're interesting formats, because then I also have the flexibility to share it with the person's manager. I have flexibility to share it with another friend. It's a social media, again, game where people can see the recognition, like it, and things like that. And we also award points for badges that people earn, just to encourage the culture of recognition, because that is also something that does not come naturally to everybody, right? It's easy to, we find it easier to point out errors and criticize and talk about improvements, rather than focus on things that have really gone well. That's an effort for most of us. So how do I encourage that is also through making it a little gamified, where I say that for every badge you earn points. So that creates a little bit, and this is a simple thing, right, where a peer just recognizes you for what you've done. So it can be somebody who's working with you, who's your team member, somebody who's your superior, or even just your peer. So apart that, we have like a big annual award event, which is for innovative things around the most innovative initiative of the year, or the best diversity initiative, or the best digital transformation. So these are nomination based. So we again don't restrict it. How do we bring in inclusivity is we allow it as an open platform for people to nominate. And then basis the nominations, there's a panel that selects and rewards. And that recognition is then showcased to all employees again digitally on our foundation day. So that's a lot of, people feel that, I can participate in a reward and recognition program, and it's not only the managers deciding or things like that. So we also have an interesting award, which is the best people manager. And this is again by nomination from your team members. So if I want to choose my manager as the best people manager, I need to get together with 3 other reportees and then nominate the person. So that gives a very different twist to the entire game, because then people managers really are the ones who deserve the recognition, because it's coming from their team members. So apart this, the complexity of the businesses, right? So every business is very, very different for us. The profile of the people, the kind of work that they deliver, the customer segment that they cater to is very different. And therefore, they also need reward programs that cater to their business requirements or their specific business requirements, because the organization is large, and the org-wide reward recognition is only going to focus on a certain set of people, but we want to encourage recognition across. So the flexibility of this digital program also allows us to create specific recognition programs for a specific business that is visible to only that business. So it just helps because I, as a business head, have the flexibility to run my own program, which caters to my set of employees. And I also have the opportunity to participate in org-wide programs. So I think this has been like a big uptake for us internally, because people see things happening right in front of them, and it's visible on a company wall, right? So and business heads also want to get a lot of their programs online rather than having it offline, because now they can deliver points instantaneously. They can deliver certificates also digitally, which are printable certificates. So that instantaneous factor is met with something like this. So that's broadly how we run the recognition program at Kotak.
Yeah, and that's amazing, because it's like a truly hybrid approach, right? So your businesses have the autonomy to run their own recognition.
Yeah.
At the same time, there are some like common policies which everyone has to adhere to. So it also adds some sanity at the same time, giving the autonomy to people. So
Yes, that's right.
yeah, great. So moving on to Tanushree, you mentioned that you're revamping your recognition program, and I also have a question on chat, I think, which might just match this question too. So when you think of revamping recognition programs, and I know you've kind of done this in multiple companies in the past as well. So what are the factors which you look for when you maybe probably are looking at revamping your recognition program? And there's also a question on chat by Neha Varshini that does employee assessment in some way affect the employee experience? So how do we tie assessment to recognition and create like a holistic program that way?
Okay, I'm going to dissect this question into three parts and take it. All right. So first, I would say for us at Entrust, doing things right, timely, first time, every time, I think has been a very, very constant throughout. So when we talk about developing a culture of appreciation and reward in the organization, this was there. I think it's embedded very well because we have our core value awards and our shout outs, and everyone in the organization uses it brilliantly. Now, we have not restricted anyone that only a manager can nominate for the core value award. We've not done that. Anybody can nominate anybody for the core value award. So we have 6 core values. We live with it. They are the guiding principles for every one of us at Entrust. Anybody can nominate anybody. So again, there's an inclusivity that comes in. And of course, you need to provide a citation to us as to why are you nominating this individual for that particular core value. And shout outs, like I said, the timely ones. So, hey, Smithy, great job done. And that's not just comes, it doesn't just come to you, it comes to the entire world. So we also have all of these printed on our quarterly internal newsletter. So everyone in the organization is aware why Smithy did get what she got, or why was she appreciated, and or why was she given the core value award. So it's recognition globally, it's recognition timely. Okay. Yes, I said that we are revamping our reward and recognition program because we are wanting to go digital, A. B, we are also wanting to link it with upskilling of our, task force. I do not believe that, every reward has to have a monetary aspect linked to it. Not necessary. But yes, the value that that reward brings to you should really matter. And that is what is going to be the motivation for all others in the organization to run for that award. So we are doing a little bit of revamping there. We are trying to bring in more rewards quarterly, get in a little more creative there, and also annually for the teams. So I would not like to actually reveal much on that front right now because it's still work in progress. But yes, it is going to be a holistic approach where everybody is, considered. It can be a part of the reward program. And yes, we are planning to again, like I said, try and link it with upskilling of our individuals of our task force. Okay, yes. And your second question was whether employee assessment can play a major role in employee experience. Yes, it can. I'm going to be very frank about it. I think I would not, I can safely say for all of us at HR out here that every time you've done an employee engagement survey, irrespective of a brand like Tata or a Kotak or Entrust for that matter, people would always say that the appraisal process was not fair. I don't know. Or maybe, or maybe, that aspect will definitely be rated lower than all the other aspects, all the other paraphernalia, which is attached to HR. Not necessarily that's true, but that's a perception, and perception is reality. And now we need to really work on that. So yes, employee experience does get affected by employee assessments, and it is very, very important for us to revamp our assessments as well, because right now, if you see, the concept of continuous assessment is in. I don't have to wait till the end of the year to know what my manager thinks of me. I need to know it, constantly, maybe monthly. And then I know, okay, what I'm doing right and where I need to pull up. Then at the end of the year, when I get the, the assessment letter or the appraisal letter, it's not a shock to me. I know what I've done. So yes, I would say it does matter. And if the question is only till then I'm just going to put a stop to the answer right here. That yes, it matters, and there's a lot of work that organizations have done, are doing, and continue to evolve in that aspect. And yeah, that's what it is. What was the third one? I think I'm missing something here.
Yeah, it was more around assessment. I think these were the only two questions, but I think you've covered it very well and you're right, I mean, irrespective of whatever appraisals happen, it's always the common, thought process which kind of covers everyone. So it's also important to kind of drive it in the right manner and set the expectations and the realities also in the right manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, great. So we're almost, I think, 5-6 minutes top of the hour. To conclude really quickly, I will just ask all the three wonderful ladies to just summarize by quickly, just share three key takeaways for HRs to drive a better employee experience at their workplace. I'll start with Paramita. Just the top three things you feel would drive like a better employee experience in a very short summary.
Personalization and customization, because that's what employees know. Make things very, very simple. We overcomplicate things. We need to make them very simple. And the third and the most important thing is we are dealing with humans. We are working for them, and there should always be a human touch in whatever we do. So I think these are the top three things that I think will drive the employee experience journey.
Thanks, Paramita. Over to you, Shweta.
Yeah, for me, one is listening, because it's important to actually listen to feedback, get the ground level feedback to actually make changes and make the experience better, because who knows better than all our employees who are experiencing what we do, right? That's one. Second is being responsive. So while I'm getting feedback, I need to quickly act on it and change that experience and make it better. And the third one, like Paramita mentioned, keep it simple, because we tend to, in the divulge of processes, policies, etc., we tend to complicate things, but what people accept and what makes experience better is keeping it simple.
Thanks, Shweta. Last but definitely not the least.
Definitely agree with Paramita and Shweta. I think they've already covered. I think in addition to what they say, I would say just 2 points. First, never lose focus on your employee. Everything and anything has to revolve around that individual. Only then it's going to make an impact. Otherwise, I don't think, you could have great HR experience and you work with great, places, and you can bring your knowledge to the table, but then if that's not going to affect your employee at that point in time, it's useless. I also feel today, the over communication, there is nothing called over communication. Communicate as much as possible. I think all employees look forward to it now. It's not as if acha ek aur mail aa gaya HR. No, I don't feel so at all. Okay, and I think they look forward to what's happening. They look forward to what's new. They look forward to being informed. So I think over communication, there is nothing like that anymore. Communicate. Make it as transparent as possible. Let them be involved in what's happening in the organization. They need to feel it as it's their own, rather than just being an employee there. So I think, that should do.
Great. Thank you so much, all three of you, Paramita, Shweta, Tanushree. Thank you so much for your time. And thanks so much, all of the attendees. This also concludes our session today. Like I mentioned, this is recorded. It will be emailed to all of the registrants on their email ID. And it'll also be uploaded on our official YouTube channel. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining, especially the wonderful ladies on the panel, and for taking out your time. It was really exciting, really energetic, and I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, I'm sure we all did. Thank you so much, Smriti, for having us on board this panel. And then I'm sure I speak for Shweta and Paramita as well when I say that all the participants, we're hoping that you have taken some good takeaways. At least I did, from whatever Shweta and Paramita have said. I've been noting them all down, actually. So yeah, great interaction, good time spent, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.